All right, you guys, it has been way too long since I have sat down with you to give you all a little life update. And with everything that's been going on over the past few months, and now with everything that I'm prepping for 2026, it's about time. But I have a lot to get done today, so instead of sitting down and doing a simple talking head video, I'm gonna take you guys all along with me as I clean up gear from a past trip, prep for my next trip, prep some dinner for tonight using a very unconventional method. So I'm gonna head to the grocery store really quick to grab some supplies, and I'll see you all back here in a few. And seeing as today's video includes grocery and a bit of cooking, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the crisis that's going on right now in the US. And I'm not gonna make this political, even though I have beliefs about that. I'm gonna keep it as neutral as I can by saying that unfortunately, the US government, however you wanna put that, has decided that SNAP benefits and EBT are no longer important enough, no longer a priority for our country. And a lot of people can't even afford to do the bare minimum right now, and the benefits that they relied on for months or years due to potentially disability, due to being a caregiver, due to being elderly, or a variety of other very valid reasons that our country is supposed to support them through, are not going to receive those benefits on November 1st. Those benefits that they rely on to put food on the table for themselves, for their parents, for their children, for their loved ones. And so if you are in a position to donate, if you have any food that is shelf stable, that's in your cabinets, that's unopened and untouched, that's good. Obviously donating that to food banks is incredible. I personally, this coming month, I'm going to be donating to Feeding America, but financial donation, because food banks, I learned recently, actually have larger buying power than we as individuals do. So for example, like donating a can of soup, which is still amazing if you can do that and you're in a position to, but donating one can of soup as an individual who paid, let's say, $1.99 for it at the store, that $1.99 would go a lot further in the hands of a food bank because they're able to purchase in bulk, they're able to purchase from producers who we might not have access to, and often can miss those markups that we incur at the store. If you're in a position to donate, I would urge you to do so, even if you can donate your time at something like a food bank or a soup kitchen. Our neighbors need us right now. All right, so I'm sure you guys are like, why the heck are you using the Bluetti in the kitchen? And that is such a fair question, but two reasons actually. One is a little callback to when I was on the road and did a similar stew right around the beginning of fall, around Halloween, Thanksgiving time. But two is because I actually have not tested the Apex 300 using things that I already have myself with something that pulls more power like an Instapot. And I have a few ideas for later this winter that I want to test out now, but I need to know exactly how much power cooking for like 35 to 45 minutes takes so I can multiply that out and figure it out in the long run. That way for future videos, I'm all set and ready to go. Today, I'm gonna be doing a beef stew. I already have a lot of the veggies cooked up. The meat though is first. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this, saute it, pressure cook it, and while it cooks, we'll get into the meat, no pun intended, of today's video. So I feel like the last time I gave a solid update, it was probably the end of last winter. I'd been living back in Denver for a few months and things were going well. Life was good, but it was a little bit premature to really give you guys any substantial updates. And I apologize if you can hear noise in the background. I'm gonna try my best to get this quieter for you, less noisy, but I'm working with a window that is stuck open right now. So I had been living back in Denver for a few months. Life was good, and I had mentioned that I didn't want to share too much of my personal life, and that was really the beginning of me trying to figure out how to navigate living a life both in person and offline and not make relationships and friendships and my personal private things in life too public too soon, especially. But now I can say confidently, over a year after it began, that I am happily in a 1-year plus relationship. I'm living back in Denver and I don't see that changing anytime soon. The story of how we got here is kind of crazy and maybe one for another time. I still feel similarly about not wanting to make too much of my private life public, but if you guys saw last week's or 2 days ago's video, you'll see that I specifically showed and called out and introduced you all to my partner a little bit more. He's been in little snippets here and there, but I think where it makes sense in the future for me to have my camera, you guys will be seeing more of Nick here in the near and hopefully long-term future. I'd also mentioned in that video way back in spring that I felt like I didn't know how to move forward with my channel. I wasn't living on the road anymore. I wasn't building rigs out anymore. And I know that that's the reason that a lot of you guys came in the first place. And I don't blame you for being a little disheartened by the fact that that's no longer the biggest portion of my life. My favorite videos to produce are adventure videos, unsurprisingly, especially ones where Tara can come with me. But they don't always perform the best. So I've been trying to strike a balance between videos that you guys want to watch with what I actually want to be doing and filming. And on that note, I have some really exciting things in the works, which I might tease a little bit more in this video or tell you all a little bit more about, because you guys are going to be the ones that I launch this to first, especially for feedback. So I'll talk a little bit more about that maybe in the next few minutes. But before we do, I need to launch into the biggest update that I have that's not professional and that's not about my dating life. And that's regarding my health and upcoming 2026 adventures. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and check on the stew because I think I just heard it come up to pressure. We'll see where the Bluetti is at and hear a quick word from today's sponsor, Bluetti. Over the past few years, I have had the incredible opportunity to try out a variety of power stations from Bluetti, which has made me somewhat of an expert when it comes to choosing power in a pinch for an upcoming adventure. But something I realized when I got this comment last week was that you guys don't have that knowledge because I'm typically just talking about one power station at a time. So today I thought that I would compare two of Bluetti's all new power stations that serve dramatically different purposes to give you all the same intel that I have and to help you make a decision as to which station might be right for your needs. The first and most obvious thing that most people will notice is the difference in their size and portability. The Elite 30 V2 is small and super portable, weighing under 10 pounds. It's your grab-and-go power source for short road trips, camping, or for creators like myself who work off-grid. On the other hand, the Apex 300 is a heavy hitter. It's much larger, weighing 84 pounds, which is thankfully why I have this trolley to move it around on when I'm at home, but it has 10 times the capacity of the Elite 30 V2. It's designed specifically for extended off-grid stays, acting as central power for van life setups or as home backup in case of an emergency. And speaking of tech specs, let's go ahead and get into some of those gritty details to understand how long and what each of these stations can actually power. First, we'll touch on the Elite 30 V2, which gives you 288 watt-hours of capacity and up to 600 watts of output power. In lifting mode, 1500 watts of output power to surge for short spans of time, powering larger electronics. It also includes dual USB-C charging ports, one at 100 watts and one at 140 watts for faster charging or larger electronic needs. Plus, it has multiple AC and USB-A outlets, so you can charge everything from laptops and portable fans to coolers. The Apex 300, on the other hand, boasts a massive 2,764 watt-hours, yes, I did commit that to memory, of output power, and a 3,840 watt total output. It similarly has a lift mode, which can power up to 7,680 watts, which means that you can run power tools, fridges, or even large home appliances like washers and dryers, making the Apex 300 the perfect home backup system, especially when you stack multiple of them on this trolley, so that way they're easy to move around your home in case of an emergency. The Apex 300 is equipped with multiple AC ports, dual 100 USB-C ports, and even Anderson and DC outputs for garage or trailer setups. Another critical area to compare is charging performance. How and how quickly are we going from 0 to 100? The Elite 30 V2 charges up lightning fast, 80% in just 45 minutes, with up to 980 watts of AC input and 200 watts of solar support when you're off-grid, which makes it the perfect power station when you're on the go and in need of portable, quick, last-minute power, because you can recharge it in a pinch no matter where you are. Ultimately, both power stations are powerful but serve very different needs. The Elite 30 V2 is a great portable, last-minute, on-the-go, budget-friendly option, whereas the Apex 300 is a powerhouse, perfect for home backup and emergencies, or those larger projects in the garage, which we all know I like to get up to. So whether you're Team Apex 300 or Elite 30 V2, you can head down to the link in the description down below to learn more about both power stations and all of Bluetti's other power station and system options to find one that fits your needs today, because I can almost guarantee that they have one for every situation and need. And thank you again to Bluetti for sponsoring today's video. Okay, we're back. Over the last few months, you guys might have caught on, might have heard me talk about the fact that I wasn't feeling great. The 50K that I ran back in June left me feeling a little weak and tired and beside myself. I got super sick in July, and it took like a month and a half to get over what I found out was a sinus infection. In July, I also took a header into a plaster wall, and just recently, I think I confirmed that I actually did crack my cheekbone, which had me out of work for 2 weeks. And then when I went on a little adventure in September, because the Colorado Trail got postponed due to bad weather, I ended up like physically not crashing my bike, but physically crashing my body and being in one of the lower places with my physical health that I've ever been in my life. And to top it all off, I will not be getting into the details or sharing. This is something I'm going to keep private. But over the last 2 months, I've been going through something that has been very difficult on my body, that has left me feeling exhausted, sick, nauseous, under the weather. And thankfully, it all seems to have come to a head, and I'm on the mend now and doing better. But that's also resulted in a fair bit of weight gain. Just compiling all of that, my sickness, my being out of commission, my face/head injury, failing a couple of the objectives I had, and my body kind of recovering from that. And then this most recent issue that had me in the ER temporarily, that had me in and out of the doctors a lot, and home resting for multiple weeks. The silver lining though, because we are on the up, as I mentioned, is that extra weight means that I have a little bit of extra muscle. And it also means that when I'm preparing for some of the big 2026 events that I have coming up, which we're about to get into, I am going to be starting from a place that's a little heavier, sure, but that is hopefully going to have more muscle, more power, and more strength. Okay, I just went and got my computer because during this next portion, I am not going to be looking at you as directly because it's not quite as personal, although it is still exciting. But I told Nick the other day that I would try to help fix his sweatshirt, and I feel like that's just such a thing for me to do, to be like, yeah, I'll fix it. But I've never actually stitched anything before, so I have my computer. I'm gonna watch a really quick tutorial and use this $5.99 spool of thread instead of needles and hope that we can get this done while we chat, because today is a multitasking day. Okay, I'm gonna try to multitask again. I'm not doing very well. So, love bikepacking. I'm going internationally. I'm really excited to announce that I will be taking on, hopefully, if all goes well, the Atlas Mountain Race in 2026. It is a bike race, a gravel bike race, gravel/mountain race, I guess, that takes you across over 1,300 kilometers or about 800 miles through the Atlas or over the Atlas Mountains in Morocco and to the coastline of Morocco. It is culturally and geographically very different and very far away from the US, from Colorado. But I am so stoked to have something big to look forward to have a fairly realistic goal, I think, of training hard for 6 months plus to be able to get myself not only to the finish line, but hopefully safely, or to the start line, but hopefully safely across the finish line as well. Okay. First one done. All right, it's definitely not perfect because like I had to take some extra material. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see this. I had to take some extra material on the inside here, but I think it went okay considering there used to be a massive hole right there. The last update, because I'm mending clothes and it just really makes sense, I guess, to share with you all in this moment as I'm doing something some would call sustainable, fixing clothes instead of just buying new ones. Although this sweatshirt is like a family thing for Nick, is that I'm in the process of starting a second business. And that is not something that I thought that I'd be saying anytime soon if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have probably said, oh, I think I'm going to be maybe working for someone else, if anything, because there's been a lot of financial uncertainty with my job, doing social media, working for brands, etc., which I think there's a misconception that we make a ton of money. Some people do. I am not necessarily one of them. I make enough, but nothing crazy. That aside, though, I've been wondering for a few, almost I guess 2 years now, whether I should go work for someone else. I'm getting my master's degree and I'm still doing all of that. But a part of me has just been like, bro, like, why would you go work for someone else? I have the ability, I have the knowledge, and I'm growing my skill set, but within reason, know how to like start a business, how to somewhat fund it, or at least how to get funding for it. And working for someone else, being back at a desk or something, is, to me at least, in the lifestyle that I enjoy and my skills, is kind of a step backwards. That and the job market is tough, if you guys didn't know, but I'm sure you do. So I decided earlier this year that if I could come up with a business that I felt passionately about, like, why not go for it? And I was just listening to a podcast one day, and that idea, that lightning bolt, came to me, which, I don't know, I was losing hope that it would. But I had an idea. I shared that idea with a handful of people close to me. And I won't be sharing it here. I'm so sorry, because we're just not ready yet to talk about it. And by we, I mean me. I am not ready yet to talk about it. But early 2026, I'm working a lot right now on it. And I'm looking to launch in early 2026. I will say, though, it has to do with sustainability and gear. It'll be on social media, but it's not like a social media brand. There will be writing involved. There will be photos involved. There will be videos involved. There will be brand work involved. But my goal is not to provide entertainment or YouTube content by nature of what I'm doing. My goal is to provide resources to people based on the knowledge and skills that I've accumulated, both in this trade and through my degrees. I am curious, though, if you guys can guess what you think it is. So if you think you might know what I will be launching in the new year, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll go through and I will look at everyone's comment and guess, and I will save those. And if any of you are right, I will not only let you know when this launches, well, you'll know when it launches, but you'll get something special from me / the new business as a thank you for participating and a welcome. I think was the final stitch. It's not perfect, but the hole is gone. All right, so you can kind of see where I had to go through and pick up a little bit of extra material on the inside. And that did result in just a slight bunching compared to where it's more flat over here, but there is no longer a hole. It's a little tighter, so I'll have to be careful, but for my first job, I'm pretty stoked on how this turned out. Also, I just have to show you guys Tara, who has been sitting here with me this whole time, like a little angel. All right, stitching done. Most of the updates, I think, behind us. Let's go ahead and go check on that stew and the Blue Buddy. Okay, so the cool thing about a pressure cooker is once it actually gets up to pressure, you guys will see here, hopefully, that it's reading 0. Like, there's no draw on the Blue Buddy any longer, which is awesome because not only is this going to be able to run for the remaining 23 minutes that it has on the clock, but the venting also does not require any power. And I was able to cook what's probably going to turn into like 6 or 8 meals plus using less than 28% of the battery. Now, I know over the last year, there's been a lot of changes with my brand, how I show up online, the frequency at some points at which I show up online. And so I just want to say thank you. I know I just disclosed a lot of information regarding my health and my work and my personal private life. And thankfully, a lot of those things are going really, really well. And I have some really big things that I'm looking forward to in 2026. But this year has also been incredibly draining, right? It's been tough in new ways as I've navigated being online with a relationship, with trying to develop a new business and being in grad school and adventure. And I'm realizing more and more as I get older that that is just life, no matter where you're at or what you're doing. But I just want to say thank you all for being here, for being patient with me, because a lot of you had no idea that most of this stuff was going on. And I feel like that can lend itself really easily to negativity in the comments or DMs that are not that friendly. And 99% of you guys have just shown up, been positive, been supportive the entire way through. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you here watching, to all of my patrons who have been with us through thick and thin, to the brands that continue to work with us so that way I can put food on the table, donate to things like Feeding America, and make fun adventure content in the upcoming months and years for you all to hopefully enjoy. And if you haven't already started doing it, make some fun plans that scare you a little bit for 2026. I think waiting until the new year is great, but by the time we get to January, it's like we're already going. 2026 is already here. So what can you do in October and November to get ready so that way not only can you enjoy whatever holidays you celebrate in December, but so that way January 1, you're already on a roll. You've already got that momentum going and you're already working towards your next big thing. I will stop rambling. This is probably the most verbose video I've made in over a year. I hope you all enjoyed it and I hope that you get outside this week. Or if you can't, maybe make a yummy stew like I did. And we'll see you all in the next one.